All right. Hello and good day or evening, depending on where you are. We have people from all over the place, it looks like. Quite a few from Canada, U.S., UK, India. Wow, okay. A lot of you. Well, hey, I'm glad everybody's interested in what we're doing here. If you have any questions, there's a box over on the right-hand side. Just put your questions in and we'll get back to it. I don't know if we'll be able to get to it today because it's just me running this on the back end, and I want to make sure that we stick to what we promised you and just give you a lot of good content that you can use to help you grow your business. Today we're going to have our esteemed colleague Robert joining us. Robert is on the line as well, and we're going to be discussing software and development and where things are going in like different SaaS solutions, and also focusing on the aggregation of data buying habits online. What we want to share with you today comes with, from experience and best practices that we've found from constant testing and improving on what we've been doing. And what we're going to talk about is how to set yourself up for success, no matter what stage you're at in your business, for the financial services, insurance, advising, that type of stuff. So, Robert, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I am. Thanks, Andrew. And how are you doing today?
Oh, excellent. I'm beyond excited about what we've been doing, and I really thank you for joining us today, and lending your
excellent.
25 years now in marketing, generating leads, and you're pretty much the expert on getting leads. So, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me. I can't wait to tell people about all the exciting things that they're able to do now, and a lot of people just aren't aware of them. But this is a great time to be alive. This is a great time to be marketing with all the different advantages and the things you now know that you can do compared to when we first started years and years and years ago.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things that we're going to talk about that he's alluding to is artificial intelligence and machine learning, which is going to be able to predict when somebody is in market to buy something. So instead of marketing to 100% of the people that will look at it, and only 97% of them, or 3% of them, are actually in market to buy. So what we're doing is we're actually going to show and talk about how things online are going right now, and creating algorithms that can be tracked back and actually lead up to sales. So, so one of the first things that we want to talk about here is setting yourself up for multi-channel prospecting from really any stage. If you're just starting out, or you're a mid-sized business, or you're a large business that's buying data and doing commercials and stuff like that. So, everybody's got to start somewhere, and the images that we're showing you right now, instead of content marketing strategy, it's context, and knowing where people that are your perfect clients, where they're actually looking for your type of information, and then being able to get that context and explaining it in a Robert, why don't you tell them maybe about a little bit about context and how we use that for tracking online. So, what's relevant? How do we know when a relevant person is in market?
Well, most people start their their search for anything that they're going to do online. I mean, that's where we are today, is that you're able to go online and pretty much find out about anything that you want. This is the first time that's been able to happen. As a result of that, when people go online, everybody was told and taught that people go online to buy things, or people go do a search to buy things. And that's not necessarily true. People do a search to find out how to buy things, to find out how not to make a mistake about buying things, how to get the best deal. And so that's what they're looking for when they first go online. That's what most people are searching for, information, not necessarily to buy, but to find out what they need to know in order to make a very smart buying decision. So it's at that point when, if you can reach them there, all right, and start explaining your value there, then you're able to frame the conversation from that point on. In other words, everything else compares against you. And that's where you want to be. You want everybody else to compare with you, and you can do that online very easily as long as you can stay in front of that particular individual. And where we are today is what's called people-based marketing, in that you can actually target an individual and continue to market to that individual across channel and across platforms. And that's what we're here to talk to you about today.
Absolutely, and that's extremely powerful. That's your audience strategy. So let's go into some of the ways that you can actually grow your business. We're going to talk about those 5 ways right now. So you can, this is the basics, but it's very important to understand what your basics are. So you can get new clients, you can increase the transaction amount, increase frequency of transactions, acquire new products to sell, and you can acquire new markets to cross into. And really, those are the basics of everything where you can actually grow your business. And when you're doing it online, you have to build trust. And trust is extremely difficult to portray online, and getting your passion to come out online. There's a very specific way of doing that. And the first thing starts with is trust. And Robert, would you want to talk a little bit about online trust and how to get those new clients and bring them into these 5 ways, please?
Absolutely. You meet people online just like you would meet an individual offline. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to start with an introduction. Now, normally, in order for you to do that, it would be a banner. A banner is usually the first thing they see. They may see a banner, they may see a website, you might send them an email. But normally the first thing they're going to see is a banner. And the key to any kind of advertising is, like Andrew had said, was to build trust. So what happens when somebody actually is going to give you their time and attention and click on a link? See, there's 2 costs. One cost is physical. The other cost is mental. So when somebody sees a banner and they see that button, they're going through a mental cost. Is this going to be worth my time and attention to click on this button? Now, so many times when people click on that button, what was promised in the banner, they can't find it. In other words, they're going to come to a landing page that's going to tell them, well, if you want that information, you're going to have to read this a little more and then click here in order to get it. Well, you broke the trust. If you offer them something, if you offer them something in the banner, make sure the first thing they see when they get to that landing page is the answer to what you offer them. That is where the trust starts. Now they know that if you tell them something, if they do their part of it, that it's probably going to be worth their time and attention because they can believe what you say. If you break the trust in the beginning, well, it's almost impossible to get it back again because, once again, they don't know you from Adam.
Yep, and there's so many other options online. They're just going to say, well, nope, this isn't the way to go.
I mean, you just got to break it once, and then somebody's just not going to trust you. Once that trust is built, so many times you can go to a post, you see the first part of the post, then you click on the post, and then you get there, you find out that's not the answer there, and that you got to go somewhere else and find the answer again. How often does that happen to you?
It just creates frustration and just, I know some of the largest internet marketers on the planet, and I wouldn't use any of their products because it's just, I just get bombarded with stuff, and it's just, I got to go through this, and then I got to do that, and then, and it's just, I don't believe in them. It's just a big ass hoax.
Exactly.
So don't fall into that trap.
Exactly. What you want to do is, when you promise somebody something, you want to make sure that you deliver. All right.
And once you deliver, if possible.
The next time you can ask for a little more. The next time you can ask for an email address. And you'll get it, because now you can offer them whatever your lead magnet is, whatever that might happen to be, and it'll be much more easier for you to get it because they can believe that it's going to be worth their time. And then once they get the lead magnet, all right, now you can ask them for a little more. You can ask them for a phone number. You can ask them to set up a call. All right, because you've built that trust. That's your funnel. And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but that's what you want to create. Because, like I said, there are only 5 ways to grow your business. You can get new clients, Or you can have clients and you can increase the transaction amount every time that when they're buying stuff. You see that with, like McDonald's, and you get, fries with that hamburger and that.
Or your Cox bill that hey,
Cox,
get six months, we're going to give you half off, and then they increase the transaction amount. They got you into their, you started using their product, you're happy with it, you're going to pay that extra $50-$60 when they increase it, and then, geez, what else do they do? They add on, well, now you want your phone and you want your home security, right? Now they're increasing the frequency of transactions. So now that they've built the trust, they've got you into it, now they're starting to upsell you through other things that you could be finding useful or maybe not useful, right? And that also falls into new products to sell, right? So if you remember 5 years ago, they weren't selling security systems, but now they almost make you get a phone or a security system, or you pay through the nose for it, right? And that's a very good example of a big client or a big company out there that's using, from start to finish and building that trust, and then increasing their value by taking them through, their funnel and their flow. And so all of these little touch points you have to think about as you're creating your product and who your messaging is going to. Be very specific. 6 inches wide and a mile deep. Which let's get into the next part of it is, what are the parts and the forces that you compete with for profits? Right.
Okay, now these are the 5 forces of Porter.
Yep.
That's Michael Porter. All right, and these are the 5 forces that every business competes with for profits. They're rivals. They're substitutes. You have buyer bargaining power. If you only have one buyer and he decides, well, you know what, instead of 5 loaves of bread for that price, I want to get 7. Well, all of a sudden your profits are affected because now you've got to give up 2 more than before. If you've got a powerful supplier, and let's face it, Google and Facebook are very powerful suppliers.
Extremely.
If for some reason they decide to raise the bid prices, because we all know it doesn't go down, or if they decide to change policies, you're affected. And that immediately, and if that's where you're getting your business from, that has an immediate effect on your profits. So, for the people that do SEO, well, how many times has the algorithms changed? How many times has Google decided we're going to do it a different way? What did that do for the people that were at the front of that search engine?
Yeah, bye-bye.
What did that do for their employees? Just like that, it's over.
Yeah, you have to think about your business as a whole, and if you're really just focusing on one platform, when that platform goes up, you are immediately affected. Your employees are affected. Their families are affected. I mean, these are things as business owners that we all have to think about every single day when we see opportunities or anything that's going on. We have to think about what's going to happen to Mary or Jane or Jim or Jack, and their kids, right? We all have people that we're working with, and we have to think about that. So, you have your rivals, which are other agents, other people that do what you do, and you have to get in front of what they're doing, right? People buy what's top of mind. They buy 70% of the time they buy the last ad that they saw. So you have to be continually following up with people. Because what's the number up to now of how many impressions we see daily for ads and different things now, Robert? Do you get a number on that?
Oh no, I mean
it's tens of thousands.
Well, how many ads have you seen in the last 24 hours? Can you imagine?
Thousands. And which one do I remember?
Exactly. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you're a company and you're doing $3 million, the reason you're not doing $4 million is because of one of these 5 forces. If you're doing $300 million, the reason you're not doing $301 million is because of one of these 5 forces. So you want to have a way for you to be able to compete with these 5 forces, seriously compete with them, and in order for you to do that, you've got to have something unique about yourself that gives you an edge. Because if you don't, you have no way of competing with these people. How can you compete with a rival if you do the same thing they do and you don't do anything different? Yeah,
or your substitutes that are undercutting your cost and basically you need to get in front of your rivals so that your customers see you first, and then they're comparing you to them. Your substitutes, you want to build that value. You want to be seen all over the place. You want to have your any type of search that people do. You want to have information out there, good reviews. I mean, all of this stuff is super important when you're trying to get a premium price for a premium product that you supply.
Exactly.
And then bargaining power of buyers and sellers. I mean, if you have more dollars to buy more PPC, and I'm doing PPC, you're going to crush me, right? If you're spending 10,000 and I'm spending 1,000, you're going to get all the more traffic.
Well, maybe, or you could be, unless you're getting things at a better price. Now, if you're getting your stuff at a better price, well, then that's a competitive advantage.
Absolutely.
So it just depends on do you know how to buy, how to buy traffic. See, the sad part about it is that 34% of insurance agents allocate less than 10% of their marketing budget to online channels. Well, that means that anybody who starts to understand the online channels, only 27.1% use social media. Well, my goodness, what an opportunity that is for those who do. 20.5% purchase leads. Well, what an opportunity for those who do. Because that's 80% of the people you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, they're not a rival or a substitute.
They're not. Email marketing is the number one marketing online, according to the top marketing agencies there are, and only 19.2% of insurance agencies know how to do it.
Absolutely, and
this is a very good opportunity.
Absolutely, and I'm also sending out our 2017 report on the health of social media and email marketing. We've got numbers from all the top agencies that we compiled and put together. So make sure you look and open up the emails that you get, because there will be a link into that ebook that goes over all the stuff that's been happening in 2017 here. So we want to give you guys knowledge. Knowledge is power. Data is power. So from here, first steps. What do you do now that you know what forces that you're dealing with? You've identified your why. You should have gotten my social media book that walks you through the exact 5 steps and processes that you should be using. If you want to do this yourself manually, what you can do on LinkedIn, exactly the algorithm and formula of how to get more appointments. And of course, I also gave you a copy of our Prospect Bridge workflow, which you can use if you don't have a way to use this online to connect with your ideal people inside of your marketing and come back to one place. So I hope that you guys check that out. There's a lot of value in that. We've got tens of thousands of people that use the system. Very good system. So first off, what we want to do is, now that you know all of that and what your why is, we're going to look at how do you identify, what your ideal customer is, right? So there's different things that we do by looking at data, but you should first look at and identify who it is that you want to sell to. So Robert, would you like to maybe give us some background on when you're pulling leads for people, what kind of data and what kind of stuff are you looking for, when you're creating a profile?
Well, when we start off, normally we start off looking at the keywords that somebody would be typing into a search engine when they started their journey to find out as much as they could in order to make the right purchase for what they're looking for. So usually the same keywords you would use in an AdWords campaign or a PPC campaign is where we would start.
Oh, yeah. So, when we're identifying our ideal customer profile, we're thinking, what is the age range, the geographical location, how much money they make, where are they living, male, female, got kids, what is it, your product that you're selling, and then you want to be able to find the ideal person, and then what you can do is look online and find different places where those people, so like let's say you're looking for maybe younger people or a B2C type of model, Facebook is absolutely perfect for that. It's very, very inexpensive to market on there. If you read my book, what I suggest is that you actually go on LinkedIn or on Facebook and start connecting with people, and then cross those two. So pull your customer data out of LinkedIn, put it into Facebook, and start showing those people ads about your business, right? So that way when they're on Facebook, they're like, oh yeah, I just connected with John the other day. Geez, he must be doing all right. He's advertising on Facebook here, right? Those impressions, top of mind. Then when you reach out to them, they're going to be 80% more likely to respond because they've seen you again, right? So this is all psychological type of stuff that that we're doing here. So that'll help you start to overcoming some of those forces, right? And it'll put you in the driver's seat of how you're going to launch your business going forward. So
right. Basically, some customers are better than other customers, and what you want to do is take your best customers and see what kind of profile they are, everything you can about them, and that's who you want to look for. All right, the ones that are most profitable for you, the ones that can provide you with the best referrals, that type of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So next we're going to go into, like finding the right kind of data. So where your clients are, I think we just talked about a little bit. B2B is definitely LinkedIn. There's, I forget how many millions of people now that are on LinkedIn, but just about anybody that you want to deal with or talk to has a LinkedIn account and can be connected with over time on LinkedIn. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But if you're an agent and you're licensed typically in 1 or 2 states, then you can start geographically targeting that on LinkedIn by the type of search that you do. So you put in, Scottsdale, Arizona, financial advisor, or whatever if you're a financial advisor and you're looking for, people that are business owners, you can then look at how long they've been in business for and that type of stuff. So fairly easy to find those types of people on the different social platforms. But also the key thing about doing that is that you own that data, right? You have those connections. You can download that list. That's something that you can then nurture and start working with. So instead of going to like Google, which is anonymous traffic, you're paying them for clicks, and if they don't fill out a form, you don't know who they are. So that's where you can start, is if you're at one stage. If you're at another stage and you're actually buying data, there's great, what would you recommend for searches and stuff? I mean, you can use the keyword locators inside of Google for AdWords and stuff. There's a couple other ones that I use that show me like how many people are searching for particular keywords.
Well, you've got Google, you've got S.A.M.M. You can get a lot of information.
Yeah, S.A.M.M, that's it.
Okay, but to start with, you can start with. I mean, if you're paying for an account on S.A.M.M, that's fine. But for free, you can use the free Google keyword tool. That's a great place to start, and it doesn't cost you anything, and it's right from Google. And that's a wonderful place to start, and then you can kind of go from there, because you can put in your geographic location and everything for the keywords with that tool, with that keyword tool.
Okay. And I do have another one.
Areas. Mm-hmm.
I do have another one that I'll send out in the follow-up email to this. When I think about it, I have to go in and find it, but you don't actually have to have a Google account set up and go in and do it that way. It'll still pull the data from a couple different sources.
You don't need a Google account to use the Google keyword tool.
Well, yeah, but to get in to use it now, they're actually making you have an account. I had a client.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And put dollars in there too.
Oh, really?
They want you to have a loaded account and ready to go before you start doing searches. So.
Really? I didn't know that. Since when? Oh, my goodness. I had no idea.
Well, you've had yours set up for so long, you don't see that anymore.
Right.
I had a client that went in the other day, and we were unable to do it until she put some money in and set up her account. So.
Wow, I had no idea. Well, I'm glad you told me that, and I had no idea.
All right. So next, let's look at, who. Now that we're kind of looking at the target and stuff, we want to look at the size of the business of, who the right person is. If you're going after Fortune 500 companies, you better have the firepower and the history to deal with that type of client. or on the 5,000, which is a little bit smaller, mid-sized businesses that will work with the individuals and whatnot. So being able to figure out who that person is. I would recommend going back to LinkedIn and doing searches for how many people that they have in the business. If they've got more than 100, that they're a sizable company. But if they've got 10,000, then we're looking at a Fortune 500 company. And figuring out through that, and I'll show you guys here in just a little bit where you can go in and target that stuff on LinkedIn. But creating that list.
LinkedIn is perfect for that, right?
Absolutely, and for somebody just starting out, or if you want to make a small investment, the Sales Navigator will help you find those people and start creating your list and connecting with people. My book really explains, the frequency and how to do it so that it starts to compound and really just start cranking out appointments for you. You can also find these people on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest. Once you build that list, you can start remarketing to them on other places when you have the data.
Once you have the data, it's portable, so you can get them across all the platforms.
And then the same thing, do you want to talk to the CEO? Is he gonna be more apt to making that decision, or is he going to want to hear from the head of sales who says, what, this is a great product, we should look at this? Or if you're dealing with a company, if you're dealing with an individual, then of course, build that relationship, build that trust over time, and nurture that list. And then when they're ready, you're top of mind, and they'll start coming in. But you have to build that list. I mean, it's so important to have a list of people that you're communicating with regularly, that are sharing your things, that want to hear from you. So it's a great way to build it out. Inside the book, we're starting off with connections and building a very soft relationship, and then providing value. Right. So being that said, we're able to find those people and exactly target them, company or online. LinkedIn is a great spot for doing that. So next, let's talk about what we just had a client here that recently, Robert, that didn't let us go in and help him with his landing page and his content, and number one is forms.
It's a disaster when that happens, right?
If you're going to be buying traffic, and if you're going to be taking the time to find people online that you're marketing to and connecting with, make sure that your forms work. Make sure that you have a closed loop analysis of where the traffic is coming in from. Is it coming in from Facebook? Is it coming in from LinkedIn or Google? Whatever it is, but having a way to be able to track that, see what conversions are. When you change your messaging and your marketing, does that make an increase or a decrease? Do your conversions go up? So you really have to keep a track of that. Inside of the book, I give you a copy to Workflow, which is a system that you can actually hook up to Google Analytics, and then you can actually see people when they sign up, go to your website, if they sign up on Facebook, whatever it is. That way you can see where your traffic is coming from. It's a very simple product, but that's what I do so that I can see what's going on and I can see who's clicking on things, and it just helps me. If I'm going to be spending dollars, I really want to know that my content is converting, and that the copy that is written as the follow-up that they're seeing is all unison and very much a clear message about my brand and what my passion is.
You can improve, but you can't measure. So you have to be able to measure exactly what's going on in order for you to improve. That's what this business is all about. You have to be able to know which ads are working. You've got to be able to split test. So attribution is critical. And so anything you do, you've got to make sure it's working. Otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels. Yeah,
just wasted dollars that you could have spent on, I don't know, anything else that would have been more effective. If you really don't know what's happening, you're blind to it. So
you're blind.
Make sure that
nowadays you don't have to be blind because you can track everything.
Yeah. If you need, we'll give it to you in Braille.
Right. You can track, everything's trackable. So as
Absolutely.
long as you set it up to track it, you're in a place where you can measure it, and you can even and you can always improve your results.
Absolutely. And if you're working with somebody that's not doing that for you, look over to the right, and you'll see something pop up where you can schedule to talk to us. We'd be happy to help you out and take a look at what you're doing, so we can try to get you on the right path to success. And then hopefully one day you are a monster and you're big enough to work with us. So
Exactly.
that's what this is all about, getting you set up for success so that you can do what's right and make more money, save more time, and spend more time with your family. Now, the next part is you have to have a call to action, right? Email me or call me. Those are two things that I can do later, and 70% of the time, even if I write it down, I don't do it. And I can tell you from just experience and and reports that have been done that it's about 60 to 70% of the time. If you can do it later, people don't do it. So having an immediate call to action that's inside of a closed loop, so you can tell when somebody clicked on it, where it came from, it's extremely important. So here's a couple of examples. Get your bikini body before summertime. Secure your spot, register now. So something that's not real salesy, but like we're going to help you out and give you some information. And then that button has to go in somewhere. I don't care if it's Infusionsoft or whatever platform that you're using, but you have to be able to track where that click came from and why it happened, and look at where the success is, and then replicate best practices. If it could be just changing a couple words sometimes.
Well, you got a split test. That's critical.
Yep. Do different.
You should never run an ad without split testing it against something else, because a change in a word can give you a big lift.
Yeah, and then what do you do once you find out that, oh, geez, this one did better? Then get rid of the other one, and then set up another split, and then run it against that one.
You're constantly split testing. If you're split testing, then you're going to be ahead of 95% of your competition, because most people don't do it.
There's so many people that you've worked with that are just spending money that we're just like, why? If you don't know what's happening, why are you just throwing dollars at this?
Exactly.
All right, so that's what I want to say about the calls to action. Make sure that they're coming in somewhere, going into your CRM so that you can follow up with these people, set appointments, get engaged, start conversations. Okay, that's offline conversations is where you're going to build the most trust, and you're going to be able to figure out who has the same mindset and who you should be working with. And don't work with people that drive you nuts and make you crazy. Okay.
There you go.
All right. So now that you have somebody on your page and they've signed up, make sure that they get a sequence of emails with calls to action that will help you increase your growth. Okay. So people are coming in, they want to know more about what you're doing. You're giving them content. You're helping them along with I have to say my financial advisor and my insurance agent send me business all the time. I would say a couple of referrals a month from each of them, and I love working with those guys. I would have a different insurance agent if I did not like their demeanor and the way that we work together and stuff. But to get back onto point is having that email sequence written with good copy that brings people in and builds value and builds trust. And then after a sequence of 6, 7 emails of giving them stuff, then you ask for it, right? That's like Jeff Walker's product launch formula, right? Build value, build trust, build value, build trust, and then ask for it's like taking the long copy sales form, turning it on its side and breaking it into pieces, and then you have to have that ask in there. You have to have that call to action, because email, people read it. They're getting the content, they're getting the stuff. It's making you look better. You're building your authority to do that. So all these little touches are extremely important. And as coming from somebody that owns a email platform, I've been working in this for years and years and years, sending out hundreds and hundreds of thousands of emails for clients. So I've got a little bit of experience on this.
Right. First you have to get attention.
Yep.
All right. First they got to know you're there, but then you got to stay in front of them. All right. They got to remember you. People can't buy what they can't remember. All right. And so email sequences are so very important. Staying in front of that client, providing them with value on a regular basis, is nothing more important than that.
Absolutely.
That's what separates the men from the boys in this business, is that you understand it's a relationship. It's a continuing conversation. For so long, I didn't realize that. For so long, I thought, well, if I just get a hit and they get to the website, I should get money.
Nope.
And that is so wrong, and that's what's been taught so often. No, it's a continuing conversation.
Absolutely.
And by doing that and by building a relationship, that's how you make money online.
And that falls directly in line with what the next part is, which is, most people have their funnel, and you were the one that brought it to my attention a while back, because I had my funnel the other way, and I thought, we drive leads in through advertising, and then they fall down through the funnel and come out as cash on the other end. Mm-hmm. Well, that's really not necessarily the way that it works.
Right. Anybody who's been in marketing online for any length of time knows that's not how it works.
When I started out almost, it was close to 10 years ago now, I was thinking, that's, this is, you get eyeballs on it and people sign up and give you money. No, bullshit. That's not the way it happens. Right. So what happens is you start with your advertising and figuring out your why and your passion and who you're going to be going, after to get as your clients, right? And once you got that figured out and you have your funnel and everything set up to collect these people and you start paying for advertising, well, what you're going to get is impressions, right? And those impressions, following people around in different places, is going to build, they have to see you about 20 different times before they start feeling subconsciously like they're going to move forward to a sale, and that's just the way things are going, right? So once they've seen that impression enough times, they're actually going to maybe find you somewhere and connect with you in one way or another. It could be through clicking on an ad and then going to a landing page, watching a video, signing up for an appointment, or maybe they just want more information and they're going to subscribe to your newsletter, right? So we have a newsletter program that we use. Being in financial services, that's all. None of it has like salesy stuff for products, right? It's all approved FINRA and SEC information. It's coming from Reuters. It's coming from Forbes. It's coming from top places. So what we do is we help people with that type of information to their subscribers, which is nurturing them, and then they release their own articles, and the way that we set that up, it leads to conversions, right? But it takes time. It's getting them into your fold and then nurturing that person long enough to when they have an issue, they become a client, right? And if you're nurturing enough people, you're going to have a good steady flow of clients coming in on a regular basis. It does take time to set up, but you have to start somewhere. And if you're going to start somewhere, set it up properly from the beginning. Okay?
Absolutely. Foundation is critically important.
Absolutely. Make your, build off of, if you search anybody, what's the first thing that almost always pops up? LinkedIn. Right? If you search Andrew Spalding, right, you're going to find Advisor TLC and a few other SaaS companies, but right up there towards the top is going to be my LinkedIn profile, because the way that they optimize it, it just, it pulls everything into one spot. It's kind of like SEO on your website, right? So it's just one of the first things that pop up. So please, 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 it is the world's largest kingdom right now for B2B leads. Utilize the crap out of it. I switch all the time. I used to think that one or another, when I see traffic coming off of stuff, I'm not tied to anything. I can go from one platform to another platform. Right now, LinkedIn is where I'm finding a lot of my leads and a lot of the people that I want to work with and talk to and nurture. And one of the reasons what I was talking about is if you're using the Sales Navigator, and I'm not a reseller for LinkedIn, right? I just work with what's working now. And right now, if you're in the beginning stages of your business, make the investment and use the LinkedIn lead tracking and finding system. It's called Sales Navigator. I think it's like $80 a month, but
it's worth every penny.
Absolutely. You know, you go in, you have your keywords of, right, so like here I did an example, insurance in the United States. They're at least my second connection, or I forget what the other one was. I think it was in a group that I'm in. We can go for postal code if you want. You know, if you want to just find people in 85254, that's one of a really nice area in Scottsdale here. You know, good clients I would imagine being there because their houses are big. You know, what schooling, first name, last name, you know, basic stuff here. But this is kind of what we're doing online in a larger sense because we're doing it all over the internet. But for the people that you guys are looking for, you're going to find most of them in here. This is a good way to start off and start building on that foundation, making sure everything's working, making sure that you know, your funnel's working, that everything's talking to one another before you start getting into buying data, right? So let's talk a little bit about data and a little bit about the artificial intelligence and whatnot here. So so now if you're at the level of buying traffic, to go to your landing pages, and you got to make sure that you put a Google retargeting pixel on all of your websites and landing pages that you want to track, right? Because Google won't show your ads to anybody unless 100 people in that list have been to that site, right? Facebook doesn't care, but as a rule, Google will not show these retargeting ads to your list of people unless some of them, at least 100 of them, right, have been to the site.
Has to be at least 100 of them that have been to the site in the last 30 days.
Okay, so now let's start our remarketing search, right? We're driving traffic to our website, and then the people that go there, you know, we've kind of segmented them because of the keywords that we're looking for, and then if we pay Google, they'll follow these people around with remarketing, right?
Right.
You know, you optimize your AdWords, your keywords, you know, blah blah blah, and get your ads out in front of these people, and you pay Google to do it, right? It's for insurance, I think between $10 and $15 a click, right? So you get 1,000 people to click on your ad. What's that kind of cost you, right? 10, 15 grand.
Exactly.
And what's the worst thing about paying 10 or 15 grand for visitors? You have no idea who they are.
You have no idea who they are, and they may never come back.
They might never come back. Yep. You can retarget to them. You can remarket to them only on Google. Google does on what, like 40 million websites that they advertise on. So yeah, it's a big platform. You know, people will see your ads, but you're not going to know who they are. And the traffic that you're getting is anonymous and rented.
And a large percent of it, unfortunately, is bot fraud.
Yep. So Google.
I don't want to forget that. I mean, it's a huge percentage.
Yeah, so it's probably kind of close to 40%.
It's close to 40%.
So imagine if you paid $10,000 and 4,000 of it was to bots that would never ever buy anything from you or do any kind of give you any kind of value whatsoever. So that means you have, you know, the other people that actually, what, 3% of them are actually in market. So now we're down to
3% of the market drives all sales. 3%. 3% of the market drives all sales revenue.
And it's a different 3%. Now, we're not saying the same 3%. We're saying that it's changing, ever changing, but it's about 3% of the people in the market for what you're selling at any given time.
At any given time.
So if you take 100%, that leaves you with, you know, out of 100 people, 3 people that might have bought what you have if your funnel is set up properly, if your content is there, if the context is coming across properly, if, right?
Right.
So it's it's just a crapshoot. So what we've been working on for the last few years, and Robert here has been working on perfecting, is being able to predict when people are going to be in market, right? So now we're going to talk about the rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning, right? So we're talking about dropping the cost of remarketing and CPC, because we're actually going to have the data of the people that are in market and looking. And since we have the data, we don't have to rent it from Google and say, hey, if anybody searches this, show them my ad. No, it's, hey, these are the people that are searching for what I have right now. Show them my ad at 0.003 cents per impression, right? And then when you start looking at PPC, or not PPC, but like the actual cost per click. So if you spent $300 and you got, X amount of those people to go there, well, in reality, instead of paying $10 a click, it's more like 50 cents, or it could be less even, just depending on how good your ads are, and and that just comes over time. Robert, why don't you talk about this a little bit more in depth for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, what we're talking about here is basically machine learning. And machines are very dumb, all right? They learn from repetition. The more you give a machine repetition, the smarter it all of a sudden gets. So when we try to, machine learning is based on what they call training samples. And the training samples that we use are what's called path to purchase. In other words, what's everything that somebody did prior to purchase? That's what we want to do. So what we do is we drive traffic three ways. First of all, once again, we identify the people that are researching and investigating the insurance keywords that are important to you. All right. Then we put what's called a smart pixel on your website, so that this pixel tells us people that are in market, that are currently, like I said, researching, investigating, shopping for the keywords or shopping for the offers that you have. Those are what we call in market. When they come to your website, they become what's in funnel, because now they have an opportunity of getting inside of your funnel. All right, so we want to identify who did that, because that shows that people, what did the person who did that, what did they do before doing that? So we want to go back and track all their behavior prior to them coming to your website. And now that they've come to your website and they become a purchaser, what did they do then? By knowing that and by training the machine on that, the machine starts to realize what people do prior to purchase. So let's say that a person is looking for a life insurance policy, and they start going to a number of life insurance type sites to get some information on how to buy life insurance. And let's say at the same time, they also happen to be a rock climber, and they do rock climbing. And so they go to rock climbing sites. Well, if you took that one person and had their path to purchase, you would think that rock climbing had something to do with it. But if you did 5 people and nobody else did rock climbing, then you might suspect that maybe rock climbing didn't have anything to do with it. And then if you did 1,000 purchases and found that out of that 1,000 only one person did rock climbing, well then the machine would learn that rock climbing's got absolutely nothing to do with it. But these other things that were done absolutely have something to do with it. And so the machine learns now to identify anybody that's performing that behavior that is listed or is identified as path to purchase. So now, by taking that information and uploading those people to Google, and then telling Google and Facebook to give you a lookalike audience of those people, now you're reaching everybody across the Internet who is exhibiting the behavior that you want to talk to. You can't advertise to the whole market because only 3%, like you said, of the market is in market. But you can advertise to the 3% if you know who they are.
Absolutely.
And not only can you advertise to them, but you can afford to stay in front of them. Can't afford to stay in front. I mean, you got a limited advertising budget. You can't stay in front of everybody. Okay, but you can stay in front of the 3%. And so that you can, and by having the data, which is now portable, you can advertise to that 3% everywhere they go. Whatever platform they particularly care for, whatever platform they like to be on, you want to reach the customer where the customer is.
Absolutely, yep.
And then bring them into your world. And that's how you use predictive analytics in order to do that. That's how you use machine learning in order to do that.
So, you know, I wanted to kind of touch on a little bit, like, think about Google's anonymous traffic, right, and what that value is. Now, think about what we use. Oops, and I threw a W in there. Sorry about that. It's actually SHA-256 encrypted hash. Right. And that's an email that is, when you look at it, you can't really read it, but all of these platforms know what this is, right? So that it uses the email, so you just change the header that we give you, you put it in and say email, and then you can load that into Facebook and anything else. And what these hashes are tracking are not just the email or phone number or address or what social networks they're on or what IP address they use or auto they have or make, model, lifestyle. I mean, this type of information here will then, you know, when we're tracking and we're looking at it, context is so important because, like, if I said I went to the hospital yesterday, that could mean a lot of different things, right? It could mean, you know, my wife was pregnant and she had her baby. I had a car accident and needed to go to the hospital. My kids were sick and I had to take them there. Or the lady that works there found my wallet and I went there to pick it up, right? So the same thing with insurance. People are looking for insurance, or maybe they're looking for a car, or maybe they're looking for whatever it is. They're not just going to search one time. They're going to go to multiple places to get information. So if let's say somebody wants to buy insurance, they might go to, you know, we can actually track and put pixels on your competitors' websites and find out who's going there, or even target their keywords that they're using and buy traffic.
Okay, we can't put pixels on your competitors' website.
Well, not on their competitors' page, but we can track anywhere that
we can track the keywords that we can figure out. We can see the keywords that your competitors are targeting, and we can track the people that are doing that.
Right, right.
Now, there's one other thing that we can do, though, and that you can do in Google and Facebook, and that is to run a custom affinity audience. When you run a custom affinity audience, you tell Google to give you all the traffic that is going to your competitors' websites, and you're able to retarget them. Now, that you can do, and you can do the same thing in Facebook with the custom affinity audience. All right, and that's telling the search engine, go to these particular competitor websites, and anybody that goes there, I want to show ads to them.
Diabolical, right? I love it.
Diabolical. I mean, that is lethal. All right, and you can do that right now.
Yeah, that's not something that we're necessarily offering, but it's probably you didn't know about that, right? So,
if you didn't know about that, it's absolutely deadly.
So now if you start thinking about tracking the people that are making they've searched for insurance, they've gone to Chubb, they've gone to some, you know, websites that are known for, you know, for you punch in your information and then it gives you a list like Trivago for hotels or something, you know.
Right.
People, once they're going there, and then they go check their credit score. You know, you tell us, we'll start looking at the paths and where they're going and what happens off of the information that we get, you know, in some cases out of your CRM. We can load that in and then look at that history, and we can figure out when people buy from you, you know, and the machine just gets that much smarter, that much quicker. So absolutely amazing. What we're going to do now, so you've been doing PPC campaigns to drive traffic, and you want to find out, you know, more on how to save yourself money and make sure that you're set up properly for success. You know, reach out and set up a time for a complimentary prospecting session with one of our available reps. You know, we'll be happy to talk to you. You know, if you're buying traffic and stuff like that, you know, you should definitely talk to us, because knowing the information that we have, we can actually just carve that out for you. You market to the people that are in market right now. Don't spend tens of thousands of dollars on PPC. You know, we'll show you a much better way to use these algorithms and find out who's in market and really be able to predict and market to people before maybe even before they know that they're interested in it, right? So
exactly.
What we're going to do, and since this does take some time and we are launching this product now to the public, We are only going to take 5 clients at a time. I suspect in about 10 months we'll have all 50 states filled for financial services. So that's what we're going to focus on right now. And by this time next year, we are going to know every single person who is in market across the country for insurance and financial services. We're going to have an algorithm built on it. And if you want to be part of that, I invite you to see what it's going to take and reach out and set up an appointment with one of us. Robert, is there anything else that you'd like to add right now that would be of some value to our listeners that have stayed here with us for almost an hour now?
Just watch your email. We'll be sending you stuff periodically so you can see exactly what's going on, and we can kind of keep you up to speed with the technology, because it's moving at such a fast pace. You really want to know everything that you can about how you can get a competitive advantage over your competition.
Absolutely. We're tracking we're taking in data from about over 10 billion sites per day. Different pages, different places. So, I mean, this is there's nobody else that's doing this right now that we know of in this particular manner. So, I think that we're about a year ahead of anybody else right now, and we plan on staying there and just, watch what happens, So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us today.
And thank you very much.
I appreciate your time, Robert. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So I'm gonna cut us off now. If anybody has any questions, though, please make sure to fill out the chat box over on the right-hand side, and we'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. Make sure you download the books. Make sure you read everything. Get yourself set up for success, okay? And
right.
And we'll be reaching out with more information and more stuff that you can do and more tips and tricks to grow your business. So thanks a lot, and thank you, Robert, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
All right.
Excellent. All right.